Yo, the Bitcoin ETFs are about to become the biggest holders of Bitcoin in the entire world. While some people, probably like me, don't think this really matters, some experts believe that without the ETF, Bitcoin was saved, and I quote, from sliding into oblivion multiple times, a direct quote. Is it a bad thing that BlackRock and friends are on the verge of holding more than 1 million Bitcoin? Or is there a little more to the story than the recent record-breaking volumes going into the Bitcoin ETFs? We'll discuss this and more. And I got a few guests here today, so I'm not alone, guys. I got our boy Rustin, of course, you guys know Rustin. And we have Nicolas and Kiki. Nicolas and Kiki from Adopting Bitcoin. Guys, first of all, forgive me for being late. Forgive me for my video and audio, but my electricity is off in my apartment. So we're going to make do. The show doesn't stop. We got a good show for you guys. So Jacob's producing on the back end. Hopefully everything works without a flaw. Jacob, can you pull in these scenes for us so that we can get into the news story for today? But Rustin, how you doing this morning?
Dude, I'm absolutely stoked, Opti. The people may not know or understand, but the WEF police may have surrounded Opti's house, and he had to go down in his bunker to air today's show. He's putting it on the line for you. All right, so here we are. We're gonna send it, and man, it's that time of the season to destroy the Bears, baby. We are about to enter the most just incredible bull run in Bitcoin's history. We're here for it, and we have people here from Bitcoin country. I'm so stoked. All right, we were talking about this earlier. I was like, how long is it going to be for Orange Man to go down to El Salvador and say, hey, Mr. Bukele, you've been highly successful. We want to make America great. We're going fucking broke. What do we do? Tell us what to do, Mr. Bukele. And he's going to find his answers in El Salvador. So super stoked for this, man. Looking forward to the news. It is packed. And Opti's got so much good stuff for you and our guest today from Bitcoin country talking about the upcoming conference. So, guys, just Opti, bring them in.
Let's go. Nicolas, Kiki, thank you so much for showing up today. Again, technical difficulties. So say hello to the audience, and then let's get into this news today.
Hey guys, good morning. I'm funny thing. I'm actually spending a couple of days in the US. I'm in San Francisco, and I will be back in San Salvador tomorrow. But hi everyone.
Let's go. Kiki, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm sitting here in a cafe in San Salvador. I'm running to a meeting for adopting after this, so there's a bit of noise around me, but I think it's just one of those days for everyone right now.
Without a doubt. All right, Jacob, pull up the source. Let's get this show rolling. Okay, so full screen this a little bit. First and foremost, who am I talking about when I talk about these Bitcoin experts? Well, of course, we're talking about Eric Balchunas. He is a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. And the crazy stuff that's happening with the Bitcoin ETFs, I know personally, I'm a little burnt out about talking about the ETFs for so long, but we are on the verge of seeing that the US ETFs combined are potentially, it could be today, it could be by the end of the day, are going to hold more Bitcoin than Satoshi Nakamoto himself. Now, of course, we did do a little clickbait on the title. Obviously, BlackRock is not more important than Satoshi here. Satoshi is the creator of Bitcoin, but it is incredible that they have been able to acquire so much Bitcoin in such a short amount of time. Now, Jacob, zoom out a little bit so we can read Eric Balchunas. And again, this could happen by today. So here we are reading his tweet. All right, we're going to move up our predictions. Yesterday, the Bitcoin ETFs gobbled up by themselves 12K coins in day.
I think Opti just got locked in the Matrix. Can you guys hear me? We good? Okay, let's go ahead and see here. Jacob, go ahead and bring that back up, or is Opti 'back in line? Hey guys, okay, so here we go. Jacob, please pull up the news. There we go. Fearless leader has
Okay, I'm
returned.
back. Guys, again, forgive me. Today's going to be a total shit show. Now, go to the next tweet, Jacob. This is where I think no. Go back to the last tweet, but at the bottom, the second tweet he has there. No, not that one. Go back to the bottom right there. There we go. Now, click that second tweet. This is also some crazy ETF news that the IBIT Blackrock ETF has just passed the $30 billion mark in assets and total holding. And it's literally a record-breaking ETF. It's a milestone ETF that passed it in 293 days. The last one, go back to some of that sauce there. The last one was 1,272 days, which was the JEPI ETF. And the gold ETF took 1,790 days to reach the $30 billion mark asset. Absolutely incredible how much TradFi loves Bitcoin. Now go to the story, go to the next tab there with Eric Balkunis' tweet. So, of course, this came out about a month ago, and we're just adding this because this is some spicy stuff here. Of course, this was when BlackRock came out and readjusted their confirmation times with Coinbase. Now go down a little bit, Jacob, to the part where it's talking about ETFs. Again, guys, forgive me. We are working through right here. ETF holding back sell pressure. Can you zoom in there a little bit? So Eric Balkunis says that he's got two reasons that have caused his theory to surface. The one is that Bitcoin investors are looking for a reason behind the selling pressure that has kept Bitcoin in a downtrend since March. Instead of looking in the mirror, it must be the ETFs, but all they've done is saved your bag from sliding into oblivion multiple times. Now, of course, Eric Balkunis, he is an ETF guy. He's a TradFi guy. Of course, he's going to kind of give credit to the ETFs that's why Bitcoin is pumping. We would argue that it's because of the halving. Literally, like a clock on the dot, 6 months after the halving, Bitcoin starts to pump. And look, it looks like we're there anyways. So the second reason is common skepticism that Bitcoin investors hold towards governments and institutions. Balkunis explained that gold ETFs face similar speculation, with gold bugs calling SPDR gold shares, aka GOD, paper gold. And he added, this is like deja vu all over again, essentially saying that Bitcoiners are turning into the new gold bugs. Of course, we are always concerned about paper Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin was created, so that we can fight the system, so that we can ensure how much TradFi loves Bitcoin. It has undoubtedly become the best ETF launch ever. The Bitcoin ETFs, in particular, the BlackRock ETFs. And after today, potentially, combined ETFs in the US might hold more Bitcoin than Satoshi. So yes, you know, the FUD here, if you could say that, is BlackRock more important than Satoshi? Obviously not, but they are now on the verge of becoming the biggest holders of Bitcoin in the world, which is absolutely incredible. Personally, my thoughts here are, you know, it's a little bittersweet here, because when you consider about all that Bitcoin going into the ETFs, that's pretty much going to be locked away. We all know, you know, in 100 years, Bitcoin's going to have to survive off fees alone. And if all this Bitcoin's getting locked up and they're basically treating it like an asset, it's never going to move again. That's a lot of Bitcoin that's going to leave the circular economy of Bitcoin. So there is some concerns here, obviously. But man, they are gobbling up so much Bitcoin. It's absolutely incredible. Now, hopefully that all went through. Again, forgive my roundabout makeshift setup here to get you guys today's show. But Rustin, jump in here. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think they were just doing massive numbers yesterday, records in trading volume. I think BlackRock alone over 3 billion in trading volume yesterday. So absolutely insane. And as we're starting to get retail into the mix with the bull market taking hold, it's only going to get bigger. Another thing, when we talk about the Bitcoin ETFs, Larry Fink, these things, what is it about? So as an asset class, it is the biggest launch, but BlackRock didn't just want to throw out a Bitcoin ETF. They are the Bitcoin ETF right now. So they're outdoing everyone by a large margin. I think it's 75 to 80% of the flows have been to BlackRock compared to all the others. Now, with that being said, we're talking about Microsoft, Meta, Amazon. And if they're going to get exposure to Bitcoin, it's likely to come through the Blackrock ETF. And guess who just so happens to own major share in all those companies? And it's going to pump everyone's bags at the same time. This is insane, Opti. And I think we were going to get into this in a second, but talking about language, and someone has said certain things about Bitcoin as an asset. But, there is the thing about getting the horse inside the castle. That's all it takes. And that same person had put out a tweet that said, when the supply shock takes hold, it'll be at a point, it'll just be irrelevant to price anything in dollars. So let it be a commodity. That's all it needs to be.
Love it. And someone in the chat said the ETFs in the US don't technically hold anything but pure speculation. No Bitcoin to spend and use. While I do agree with that they aren't using Bitcoin per se, they're using it more like a asset. It's just going to sit there and, accrue purchasing power. I think by now we've been able to see on chain that all of the Bitcoin ETFs, they are actually buying that much Bitcoin. You can check it on chain. They do have the Bitcoin. But yes, it's not going to be quote unquote used on the network. It's probably going to be locked away for a long time, which is some trade-offs. Of course, we're not here just for number go up. We're here for the freedom aspects of Bitcoin. Freedom go up as well. And of course, we want people using Bitcoin to transact peer-to-peer. This is the real revolution. But yes, they are actually buying that Bitcoin. It is going into their cold storage. Yes, it's getting locked away. But as of now, I don't think...
Opti, we got to make a good point here. Like, does immutable money, is that valuable to BlackRock when they are already embedded in the traditional financial system where most financial crime takes place? No, they don't need that. They just want to pump their backs. And so in turn, if they can limit the amount of that freedom money out there, that's less of them to worry about in the long run. That's why it's so important to self-custody that corn, because any of it not is likely going to be Larry Fink's corn in due time.
100%. All right, let's pass it to our guest. Nicolas, what's your thoughts on this? Do you care about the ETFs? Are you tired of hearing about the ETFs like I am? What's your thoughts on this? I think you're muted, bro. Maybe it's me.
Yeah. I mean, the contrast with El Salvador is fairly stark, obviously. Like in El Salvador, I'm using Bitcoin every day there to pay for goods and services. And so for me, the idea of having, like an investment-only vehicle is like, I don't know, maybe an antithesis to Bitcoin. At the same time, number go up is a very powerful technology. And of course, the ETF will help us, bring Bitcoin to, I don't know, new all-time high, right? So I have mixed feeling for the ETF, but I think that was inevitable that it was coming.
Yeah, totally. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Kiki because I saw you laughing. So answer the first question. Are you tired of hearing about the ETFs? And then what's your thoughts on the ETFs?
Yeah, to be honest, a little bit. But I'm also like coming at it from a really selfish perspective. I'm Canadian. I grew up in Canada. I've been living in El Salvador for 2.5 years. But in the past, when I've tried to buy Bitcoin using any sort of bank accounts in Canada, I've had like an insane amount of issues, right? And I saw a tweet recently that talked about how specifically my banks, they are holding Bitcoin ETFs. And I'm like, okay, so it's a big game and I'm just not in it. What's going on there?
Incredible. And speaking of Canada, Jacob, can you pull up the ad? See, we're working Jacob in as producer Jacob over here. Of course, we got to pay the bills here. Make sure you go to bitcoinwell.com, enabling independence using the promo code simplybitcoin. Buy real Bitcoin. They are self-custody by default. They just recently launched this year into all 50 states in the US. Future-proof your money. We love the boys over at Bitcoin Well. There's a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Of course, Jacob doesn't have the login, but we would do the Bitcoin wishing well. If you sign up with the promo code simplybtc, you get 3 tosses into the wishing well, and you have a chance to win up to 1 million sats. I repeat, 1 million sats. So make sure you go over to bitcoinwell.com, test the product, make sure that you use it, give them some feedback. They're on the mission to make the best on-ramp to Bitcoin, period. All right, let's get into the rest of the show. Let's see if I can handle this. We'll see. Here we go. Of course, make sure you go to Stamp Seed and you get yourself a titanium stamp seed. You need to put your seed phrase on something that is indestructible and can last the test of time. It's been put through the ringer. It's been smashed by bulldozers. It's been burnt. It's been put in the water, and it will hold your seed phrase for the long term. Get yourself a stamp seed kit. Use the promo code SIMPLY, and you get 15% off. Okay, Jacob, let's get to the numbers. Let's get this game rolling right here. Of course, we're reading the numbers. Now zoom in on this because it's kind of small for me over here. We'll just do some quick numbers here because I don't have my numbers going up. Let's see. Hold on. It's being lost. The current Bitcoin price is $72,160. The sats per dollar, aka how much the dollar is worth in Bitcoin, aka how much Bitcoin you can buy for a single dollar, is currently at 1,386 sats per dollar, and the current market cap in fiat terms is $1.43 trillion. And since I don't have my normal numbers, it's been, 230 days since all-time high. We're inching, boys and girls. We are almost at all-time high. We're about to hit it. Maybe we'll break it by this weekend. Actually, I'm really hoping for the weekend pumps. I really can't wait till the price starts running on the weekend and start wrecking Wall Street. Maybe we get our first weekend pump. I would really love to see it. Anyways, I think, Rustin, let's pull up the video here because, again, I'm just super wrecked today.
One just point to I think highlight on the dashboard is the difficulty adjustment is going to be like 7.9%, which is like an extremely high number.
Yeah.
And typically, difficulty adjustment, it starts with difficulty adjustment and then the price wave. So it's going to happen.
Totally love to highlight that. All right, let's pull up this video. Of course, Rustin just kind of hinted on this. Pomp did an interview yesterday with Howard Lutnick, of course, CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, which now, the rumors have been proven correct.
I have one last question for you before I let you go. How rich are you? And how much of your net worth is in Bitcoin? Because if I don't ask.
Am I lost? Am I in the Matrix here?
Dude, I lost everything for a second.
Wow, we're
I
so
think the video stops.
Are you there, Rustin? Is this working? Okay. I guess Rustin's having more issues.
Okay, there we go. All right, Opti, let me get that link back pulled up here. Man, what a bomb.
Okay. Well, I will recap right now. Maybe we can.
There we go. Go ahead, Opti.
Are we back in? Okay, you guys can hear me. All right. Again, forgive me, boys and girls. Today is a shit show. So just to recap a little bit, let's see if we can get this up. All right, let's try it again. Rustin, can you play this?
I have one last question for you before I let you go. How rich are you? And how much of your net worth is in Bitcoin? Because if I don't ask you, everyone will be really mad at me.
If you took my stake in my public companies, which is public, and you did the public math, you'd see a couple of $1 billion.
Okay.
And then at least a couple of $1 billion. And then you'd have, what's Cantor worth? Yeah, I'm not saying. Okay. But things are good for me. How about that? Is that a nice way to say it? Since Cantor owns the stakes in the other companies, it's good for me. So, and I have
Like the percentage. You don't have to say exact number, but like, how do you think about either you or Cantor?
I don't have a big enough percentage. I probably have, I can't say because then people can figure out the number and how much I have. I would say I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin. And it will be billions.
I was going to say, so next year when you come back and we'll do this again and you'll be a Bitcoin billionaire and,
but you remember that model I told you? So if every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer. Right?
Trust me, I know why you're doing the lending.
It's all coming. You figured it out.
Listen, you don't have to explain that one around here.
So I got the 50% Bitcoin. I got the Bitcoin lending. But basically, what you're going to see is Cantor Fitzgerald is going to be the sponsor of Bitcoin into traditional finance.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will be the leader of it. And I'll pull out this podcast in years to come and say, see, I told you, because no one's going to remember.
Of course.
Right. But all the banks, after we do it and show people how to do it right, they'll all copy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the asset of Bitcoin will just, as it becomes more accepted, it will become more valuable. And the whole Bitcoin nation should just call it a commodity, never a currency.
Mm-hmm.
Just call it a commodity. Because if it's a currency, you're attacking the politicians of the country,
mm-hmm.
right? You're trying to replace my currency with yours.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, hey, I'm just oil, I'm just gold,
mm-hmm.
I'm just a commodity, leave me be, right? Then they'll leave you be. And that is true. And it will be why Bitcoin, which is rare and is special, will become ever more rare, as we both know,
mm-hmm.
ever more valuable over time. It'll be financed just like gold is, right? Gold is, it's not like super financeable, but it's financeable. Oil,
mm-hmm.
it's not super financeable,
Yeah.
but it's financeable, right? Bitcoin will be financeable. Bitcoin will be way, way, way higher, sometimes lower. You just have to have faith.
Ladies and gentlemen, Howard Lutnick.
Okay, so as you can tell, there's a lot of things to unpack there. Of course, first and foremost, Howard Lutnick, if you don't know, he's on the Trump transition team. He's, a full-blown Bitcoiner. He's got hundreds of millions in Bitcoin, a billionaire talking about Bitcoin. We know Cantor Fitzgerald is basically a firm that is packed with Bitcoiners there. They're pretty much, from the rumors, are all Bitcoiners working at Cantor Fitzgerald. And of course, he's even talking about buying the dips. Boys and girls, we are in buying the dip territory. That means any dip, you need to be buying the dip. Any pullback, that is the time to be buying Bitcoin. We are entering into the bull run where things are going to get crazy. You need to be buying the dip. Of course, you don't want to be selling your Bitcoin at this point because that means you're selling it to Howard Lutnick, the Larry Finks, the Michael Saylors of the world. And hey, we can't let them gobble up all the Bitcoin here. But the interesting part about this, and it's something I've kind of been saying for a while, it's this idea that we're seeing Wall Street enter Bitcoin. We're seeing a lot of enthusiasm coming into Bitcoin. And even, Michael Saylor got a lot of flack last week for basically saying that we need custodians to come in to Bitcoin. We need the financialization of Bitcoin. We knew that this was coming. Obviously, it is very interesting. You can argue they're playing 5D chess here, like Howard Lutnick just said. It's like, don't call it a currency because that kind of puts a target on your back. Call it a commodity. Basically, get the Trojan horse in the door, and then Bitcoin will do its thing. Now, personally, my thoughts on this is more like, I like digital currency way more over assets. It really encapsulates what we're trying to do here. But again, there's been a lot of talk about this on Twitter that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be calling Bitcoin money because then that gives us all the AML, KYC laws. It puts a target on our back. So you could argue they're playing 5D chess here, or you could argue the flip side, the more cynical side, that what we're seeing is them trying to financialize Bitcoin, kind of neuter Bitcoin, just keep it in assets so that they hold it on their balance sheet. No one is actually using it. The freedom technology doesn't come up. And so I just want to, continue to say the same thing I've been saying on the show for a while, that we have to keep our head on a swivel right now because Wall Street is here. We know they want the price exposure of Bitcoin. We know that they're going to be pumping our bags. Number is going to go up, but we also can't lose the ethos of Bitcoin while we gain the purchasing power in Bitcoin. I like it as a digital currency. I think that's the best way to talk about Bitcoin. It is a peer-to-peer currency. It is the best money in the world. It's the only international settlement in the world that doesn't have third-party middlemen. And that's what we need to be talking about. But if you give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's talking about getting Bitcoin in the door as a Trojan horse. Maybe as a more cynical take, maybe he's kind of talking about co-opting Bitcoin so that it doesn't do what we think it's going to do. And that kind of goes to what I said in the beginning with the ETFs that, hey, 1 million plus Bitcoin are about to be held by these ETFs in the US. What is that Bitcoin going to be doing? It's probably going to just be sitting there. It's not really going to be, being used on the network. That Bitcoin could be locked up for a long time. And moving down into the future, the next 10, 20 years, there is some concerns of whether the Bitcoin network is going to be able to propagate itself, whether there'll be enough fees to pay the miners to secure the network. So there's a lot of things to consider here. But you can tell Howard Lutnick on the Trump transition team, a Bitcoiner, bullish on Bitcoin. So if Trump gets elected, it looks like we might be having some favorable regulations, some favorable laws out there in regards to Bitcoin. So I don't know. Things are looking bullish, but keep your head on a swivel. It's getting very interesting out there. I'm going to pass it to Nicolas. Nicolas, what's your thoughts on Howard Lutnick saying, call Bitcoin a commodity, don't call it a currency, don't put unnecessary heat on your back? What's your thoughts on this? Is he playing 5D chess, or is this an attempt to co-opt the Bitcoin network?
I don't know. There is so much to say here. Something that Counterfigure is doing also is they are holding all the treasury bill for Tether, which itself, is the main currency used in developing country like the USDT stablecoin. I think to come back to your question, I think Bitcoin is all of the above, right? I think it's a commodity. There is certainly a lot of miners that are converting energy to Bitcoin. It's not too different from gold or oil, but it's certainly also a currency, and I'm using it as a currency on my end almost every day. Salvador, which is maybe not, if you like in the US, like you don't have too much opportunity to use Bitcoin as a currency because of the tax, the capital gain tax, make it hard. But it's really depends of where country you are at. For me, it's a currency. But that's it. I mean, if Howard Lutnick is saying, Bitcoin is a commodity, to say like it should not be taxed, I think that's brilliant. That's what I would hope from his view.
Totally. I'm going to pass it to Kiki here. Considering that we are going to be talking about adopting Bitcoin, Bitcoin country uses Bitcoin as a currency. It is money down there. So what's your feelings when you hear Howard Lutnick say, "Hey guys, just call it a commodity, play it safe. Don't tell them you're coming for the king spot of calling it a currency." What's your thoughts when you hear that?
I mean, that's on him, I guess. Like, if that's how him and the businesses that he's working with want to take it, then that's on them. But there's a whole country, there's a whole subset of people who are using it as a currency, and everything's going great. And especially as a foreigner living in El Salvador, like, I'm so grateful for this, to have a currency to use, because trying to go back and forth between Canadian dollars and the US dollar is just a nightmare. So keep on doing your thing, but we're going to keep doing ours.
Let's go. I wish I had my horn today, because that's exactly the thoughts that I would be saying. Rusted, what's your thoughts on this? I know you're a fellow tinfoil hat wearer.
All right.
Thoughts?
So first, to start off with Mr. Lutnick, everyone tries to put Bitcoin into their stupid little worldview. It doesn't fit your worldview. It's bigger than a fucking commodity. It's money too. It's an electric fucking revolution. These people just don't grasp it, man. But also, they could be playing a bigger game. George Washington, the war of attrition. We've talked about this. Maybe what Saylor was talking about. no, guys, let's be nice. Let's not call it money. Let's call it a commodity. Well, what the fuck? It's untaxable either way. And guess what? Guess what? I saw it down in there. Someone got it. Someone got it. Orange Man just said Bitcoin's money. Fuck your taxes. So what's next? What do you got, ECB? What do you got, Mr. J. Powell? What's up your sleeve, boys? Oh, yeah, you're going to print the dollar to oblivion. Send it, baby. Let's go. Bitcoin won without ever firing a shot. It's over. Read them and weep, you fiat clowns.
Yo, let's go. This is why we need Rustin on this show. Absolutely incredible. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get into the news. We have a big news story for you guys as well. And also, of course, you know, I know we're having hiccups, but like, comment, subscribe to the channel, help push this in the algo so more people know what is going on in the world. On that note, let's get into today's news.
Special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin.
All right, boys and girls. Yo, chat's going wild. Love you guys. Love you guys. Of course, get yourself a beautiful Passport by Foundation. Scan the QR code. Use the promo code SIMPLY, and you can get a discount on it. All right, guys, let's get into today's news story. Pulling this up. Let's go. Actually, Jacob, can you pull the tweet up? Sorry, guys. So we got some crazy news coming out yesterday, and it's actually here. I actually just pull up the letter, and I'll kind of recap it. So yesterday, it's kind of a growing trend we are seeing right now in the world of Bitcoin is basically, you know, Michael Saylor has been out there exposing the world to Bitcoin for corporations. We have Blackrock coming out with their ETFs, which is basically exposing the institutional capital to Bitcoin. Now, all of institutional TradFi has to look at Bitcoin seriously. We have the FASB rules changing. So you can see that the trend around Bitcoin is slowly but surely going into our favor. You know, we have the Republican Party coming out talking about a pro-Bitcoin platform. Of course, we just played Howard Lutnick, who's on the Trump transition team. This week, we also saw the first university get into the Bitcoin ETFs. We've seen pension funds get into Bitcoin. And now it looks like we are having some more conversations on the state level. Of course, we've had Wyoming that's been leading the charge. But now we are seeing that apparently the CFO of Florida is looking at Bitcoin as a very serious investment, and they have to, kind of a nod to Trump, take into account the Bitcoin strategic stockpile as a legitimate way to ensure that Florida stays above board. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit for you guys here because I think there is some stuff in this that is very fitting. Again, considering what this last week we saw Microsoft, I think they're starting to vote on adding Bitcoin on their portfolio. So we're seeing that corporations, pension funds, nation states, a la, of course, El Salvador, and now even more states following suit and thinking of Bitcoin as a legitimate investment. So, of course, we have the CFO of Florida, Jimmy Patronis. Wait, go back up. Yeah, there we go. Titled, headline, Florida needs to lean forward on crypto. So I'm going to read a little bit of this, guys. So Florida's economy is in its prime with a AAA bond rating for the 5th year in a row, record reserves, and we are outpacing the country in nearly every key economic metric. If Florida were its own sovereign nation, it would be the 16th largest economy globally. For generations, many states and countries have viewed Florida as an economic leader and innovator, given its impressive track record and pioneering spirit in various fields, including space travel and fintech. I am writing to you today with that same innovative spirit in mind. In the recent speech at the Bitcoin 2024 convention, President Trump proposed the idea of a national stockpile of cryptocurrency. Of course, the phrasing was a Bitcoin strategic stockpile, vowing to make the U.S. the world's cryptocurrency leader. This comes as the CCP makes inroads every day into the crypto world to grab control over this emerging currency. Trump said he would establish a crypto presidential advisory council and create a national stockpile of Bitcoin using cryptocurrency the U.S. government currently holds, mostly seized in law enforcement actions. I believe this forethought and innovative thinking from a successful businessman like President Trump must not be taken for granted. Recently, Governor DeSantis obviously has been fighting CBDCs and the concern of a global CBDC system. It seems like every country in the world is trying to roll out, or at least looking into rolling out, their own CBDC. Obviously, we are highly against CBDCs. We say it all the time. It's Bitcoin or slavery. CBDCs would fall under the slavery camp. Anyways, going down a little bit, when managing state pension for firefighters, teachers, and police officers, it is also essential to prioritize the bottom line and ensure the best return on investment for Floridians. This is where the potential of investing in Bitcoin, or it says, cryptos, becomes particularly compelling. Bitcoin is often called digital gold, and it can help diversify the state's portfolio and provide a secure hedge against the volatility of other major asset classes. The State Board of Administration maintains a Florida Growth Fund that allows for more innovative and emerging investments, and a digital currency investment pilot program could be a perfect fit, offering potential benefits we cannot afford to overlook. 2 other states, Wisconsin and Michigan, have seen it wise to invest a small portion of their pension funds into crypto. In March, Arizona State Senate advised efforts to add crypto to state retirement funds to encourage pension fund managers to consider crypto in their allocations. Moreover, Wyoming and Nebraska are leaders in crypto mining and have enacted dozens of laws to attract the industry, including a framework for chartering crypto banks. And as a trustee over the State Board of Administration, he's asking to please consider this and take it seriously. So a few things I want to mention. First of all, what Jimmy Patronis is saying here, it sounds a lot like what we heard Microsoft write in their letter, essentially urging shareholders to vote and add Bitcoin to their portfolios because, hey, look, you might be hedging inflation. You might think your portfolio is great, but Bitcoin is, and I'm not, hopefully I don't blow this one, the fastest horse in the race. Bitcoin is undoubtedly the best hedge in inflation. And again, if you want to stay ahead of inflation, you need to be buying some Bitcoin. So it looks like we're seeing a couple things happen. One, of course, Bitcoin is being taken seriously at every level, whether it's the state level, whether it's the federal level, whether it's the corporation level. And of course, every individual out there should be taking Bitcoin seriously and seriously consider adding it to their personal portfolios. Now we're seeing it's going to the highest level. And 2, it's something we've been saying on the show for a long time, that it looks like in the States, it might be that the states take lead on adopting Bitcoin. Obviously, we've seen Wyoming, Nebraska, Arizona. They've been talking about it. We're seeing pension funds invest into the Bitcoin ETFs. We just saw this week Emory University start to invest in the Bitcoin ETFs. We've seen a lot of corporations dip their toes into the Bitcoin ETFs. Obviously, we want to see people holding spot Bitcoin. Again, all the concerns we've been talking about over the year in regards to the Bitcoin ETFs. But again, the signal is spreading and people are taking Bitcoin seriously. Now we have the state of Florida very seriously considering, or at least proposing to consider, Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So again, I said it all year. I think Q4 of this year, we're going to see some very interesting names at least taking Bitcoin as a viable investment. We've talked about it all year that before 2024, before the Blackrock ETF, it was career suicide, metaphorically, of course, to propose Bitcoin as a viable investment. Now we're seeing it's the opposite. Remember what happened to the Vanguard CEO? You know, people can say he didn't leave because of the Bitcoin ETF, because Vanguard didn't want to get into the ETF. But does Bitcoiners really know what the deal is? They had to push him out nicely because, hey, if you're fighting Bitcoin, you're fighting reality, you're going to be left behind. And now we're seeing that on a state level, it is becoming a very serious conversation that they might need to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet because, again, we always say it on the show. 8 billion people on planet Earth all have the same problem. We've all been turned into investors now. Having cash flow, having a positive business is not enough. You have to figure out what to do with that money so that you can beat inflation. And if you're not buying Bitcoin, if you're not getting 20% plus raises at your job, you are not beating inflation. And now everyone is looking towards the savior, aka Bitcoin, aka it's no coincidence that El Salvador is the first one to adopt Bitcoin. You know, the name is literally the savior. And here we are. Bitcoin is doing very similar things. It's been taken very seriously. I think 2025 is going to be an incredible year. We're seeing that the price is starting to run, and now Bitcoin is a legitimate investment portfolio asset. So everyone has to take Bitcoin seriously. We've come a long way in the 15 years. Obviously, we want individuals holding Bitcoin. It's about you taking Bitcoin into self-custody. But hey, the game is evolving here, and it looks like everyone is going to be adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. So I'm going to pass it to Rustin because this is up Rustin's alley. What's your thoughts here, brother?
I think it all comes back to our boy Ron was right, okay? And what we're seeing in Florida, my cup has runneth over, Opti, okay? Status tiers are just spurting everywhere. It's there's geysers of status tiers just spurting out of the ground, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Why is this happening? Is it just because they want the gains? Is it just because, you know, oh, we're about freedom? It's about self-preservation. They absolutely have to do this. If you don't do this, you're going to go poor. This is what Bitcoin is about. Okay? This is about defending yourself from the atrocities of the state, the malfeasance of the state. All a central planner is capable of planning is chaos. That's all they're capable of. They constantly mismanage, then try to figure out a way to manage what they mismanaged all the time. That's all it is. It's an endless loop. And it's taken, like, what's crazy is thinking about Ron Paul. We know he was right. I remember in 2008, the first time I heard him speak, and then I read in the Fed, I knew he was right. But look how long he had to fight and get laughed at and be right and stick to his guns and never sacrifice his principles. And that kind of led us here. How many Bitcoiners started right there within the Fed? Who taught you that the creature from Jekyll Island was a piece of shit, right? That was Ron Paul. And now we are seeing the adoption of sound money on a scale we've never seen. We are seeing the inception of that political ideology and ethos into the mainstream. We're talking about ending the income tax now? When was the last time that happened? Never. Ron Paul. That was it. It was the only one. Never happened again. Okay, not since 1913. We may have one shot at this thing. And there is, man, the two worlds that we can go into. But regardless, there's no stopping it. And that's what Florida knows. That's what these other states know. That's what other sovereign nations, right? We have the UAE and others looking at adopting Bitcoin in their funds. And in that interview with Pomp, if you go through the whole thing, he was talking about how he got to talk to Trump and got him into that idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's not just for political points. It's because there is no stopping this train. You've heard Len Alden. You've heard them all. All right. This, the fiat system is not in good shape. Name a country that was 130% debt to GDP, came out of it, was successful, and didn't default. There aren't any. Okay. So this is what it is. And I think what they're trying to do is kind of like slowly incept this thing, because if they push it too hard and there's a massive flood, the price will run and a lot of people will be left, with nothing. And that includes the state. These people want to acquire a lot of Bitcoin too. So yeah, game theory is in massive action. The end of it is Bitcoin wins. And now it's like, the end, and it's just so fun to see the jackasses along the way, those who lose. And like, there's another thing, like how would I say that? Losers will love liars until their dying day. So don't concern yourself with those kind of people. The truth is there. You can't argue with fucking 10th grade math. Okay. You have that on your side. Unjust weights and measures are an abomination. So seek the fucking truth.
Let's go. Rustin, love you on the show. Okay, I'm going to pass it to Kiki this time. Kiki, of course, we're going to be talking about adopting Bitcoin in about 5-10 minutes. Bitcoin country already has adopted Bitcoin. So what's your thoughts? I know you're in Canada. Canada and Bitcoin kind of have a little rocky history, but what's your thoughts on the state of Florida acknowledging Bitcoin as a viable investment?
Yeah, I find it interesting being Canadian and then looking at how the American system works and how states have the opportunity to take a little bit more sovereignty than maybe how it works in Canada. I wish them the best. I think it's amazing. For me, I know I live in a bubble, but as Nicolas was saying, I use Bitcoin every day, and I think everybody should get exposure to that, and that's only going to continue to get this train going, right? So I wish them the best, and we'll see what happens.
Let's go. Yeah, it's really incredible. Especially in the US this year, we've been fighting Bitcoin and the US federal government. It's been a rocky battle all year. And then looking at what's going on down in El Salvador, you're like, man, what's the meme? Jesus, I see what you've done for other people. Why can't you do this for me? Can you do this for us? It seems like we might be there. It seems like the tide is turning. And the U.S. is going to be forced to embrace Bitcoin, whether it's on the federal level or the state level. But again, let me pass it off to Nicolas as well, considering you also use Bitcoin probably more than most of the audience here. So what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, that certainly is a game theory at play, right? People who adopt Bitcoin the earliest will have most benefits. So whether it's individual or corporation or financial institution offering to their customer, or state, city, or nation state, country, I didn't necessarily expect an acceleration so quickly, but that's certainly nice to see. What I like is the more state adopt Bitcoin, the more country adopt Bitcoin. It will force the government to think a bit longer term, because if the money is backed again by real commodities, there will be less waste, right? Politicians will have to be more accountable, and this is really what I'm looking for. Maybe an interesting point is that I'm originally from France, as I'm sure the audience can figure out, and I'm somewhat disappointed that it seems all the fun is happening in the Americas. Europe, this whole continent is fighting against Bitcoin in a way that I think whether it's maybe Canada or US. Or US certainly leading, but they're like El Salvador, obviously being the first. But like there is people against, people for, but like people for Bitcoin are like really thriving, I think, in North America, and now it's like a lot of people start talking about that. One thing I can reflect is that I think in Europe in general there is a lot less positive vibe, and I wish it was not the case, coming from Europe. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying it for a while. It looks like Europe is going to have fun staying poor, because everything they do seems to be fighting Bitcoin. They seem to be fighting freedom of speech. It looks like it's actively the governments are doing whatever they can to hurt their citizens. You hate to see it, but you got to judge people by their actions. And until they start embracing Bitcoin, they don't want what's best for the citizens out there. Obviously, they're afraid of what Bitcoin can do, and this is why they're fighting it so much. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible what we're seeing from the EU and even most countries in the world at this point. But yeah, it's absolutely atrocious. Anyways, let's get into the culture and let's talk about adopting Bitcoin, because that's going to be super fun. We're about to be there in 2 weeks. It's going to be great, and this is what our guests are putting on. So let's get into it. All right, boys and girls, mainly boys, but some girls, make sure you get on the orangepillapp.com, stack friends who stack sats. Get over there. If you're the sole crazy Bitcoiner in your community, get on the Orange Pill app. Maybe there's other Bitcoiners near you. If there's no events there, maybe you want to think about creating an event so that you can see if more Bitcoiners are near you. Again, as we've been covering, Bitcoin is taking over the world, and it's very important that you take your relationships from meat space or from cyberspace into meat space. As we've seen the last 4 years, things get really crazy when you're surrounded by brainwashed lunatics. And Bitcoiners seem to be the only ones that are understanding what is going on in the world. So get on the Orange Pill app, stack friends who stack sats. This is the way. Okay. Well, finally we get to the point where next week, actually, Jacob, will you pull up Adopting Bitcoin real quick, and we'll plug the website real quick. Next week, or actually 2 weeks from now, we are going to be down in Adopting Bitcoin, or rather in El Salvador for Adopting Bitcoin. We're going to be, oh, wow. My okay. Looks like my power is back on. Let's go. Okay, so we'll get this going. But anyways, we're super excited to go down to Adopting Bitcoin. We're going to be handling the YouTube stream. We're going to get you guys all of the speakers live. We're going to be doing some in-between conversations with big guests. And yeah, I'm just super excited. So I don't know, Kiki, do you want to take this, do a little TLDR, and then we'll talk about satellite events, the guest speakers and all the good stuff that you guys are doing down there?
Yeah, for sure. So this is going to be the 4th year that Adopting Bitcoin is happening in El Salvador. In the past, it's been at the Sheraton Hotel and Convention Center and the Crown Plaza, which is another kind of hotel and convention center. This year, we're doing it at a totally different venue. It's called Salamanca. It's a little bit outside of the city, but it is nestled in nature. So you're going to have really sky-high ceiling with windows all the way and trees around. You're going to get to see the best of the nature in El Salvador, but also be in this environment where we're seeing keynotes like fireside chats. There's going to be tons of workshops. We had so many submissions this year that I've spent the last 2 or 3 weeks trying to do my best to put the puzzle pieces together and make sure that we can get as many people in, get as many different topics covered, whether it's mining, whether it's centralization, whether it's CBDCs, whether it's regulatory and institutional, and also giving a highlight to the circular economies around the world. So there's something for everyone. It is definitely going to be probably one of the most exciting. There's a lot of little areas. So for example, if you're coming with your family, we've got Bitcoin Para Niños this year. So kids under 18 are free. There's going to be a whole program in that area as well. So there's really something for everyone.
Let's go. Okay. All right, guys. Let me see. What a shit show. What an incredible day. Let me get my movie here real quick. Okay. Well, I just missed a little bit, but let's talk about some of the satellite events. What do you guys got going on? You know, what can people expect? Actually, is there still time for people to get down there? You know, it's 2 weeks away. You know, can people last minute book their flights, get places to hang out with?
100%. Yeah, I was looking at flights for a friend from Canada yesterday, and there's still plenty of space available. There's still tickets available. There's still accommodations available. Just get here and you'll figure it out. You're going to be surrounded by like the best community of people who are just excited and stoked. And some of them have probably been there before, or people like me who have been living here. So get here, you'll figure it out.
Let's go. Okay. Well, we're back to our normally scheduled programming. I'm going to give Nicolas a chance to jump in here. Nicolas, what are you most excited of? You know, what was the lift to get adopting Bitcoin going? You know, what can you tell the people out there? You know, let's give them some FOMO. 2 weeks away. What can the people expect?
Yeah, I decided to make adopting Bitcoin 4 years ago, just few weeks after Bitcoin became legal tender, because I was discussing with some banks, and some in the meeting with the banks, they say, oh yeah, you know, there is this new Bitcoin law, and last week we had a meeting with XRP and we're going to integrate it for the banking system. I was like, what the fuck? And so the idea of creating this conference in El Salvador was to get education on the ground, both for like individual, but also financial institutions, you know, to understand that crypto and Bitcoin are two different things. Like this is a Bitcoin law, and everybody in the country should be focused on Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin is a signal, right? So this is why, yeah, we have decided to create this conference like now 4 years ago. In the first year, there was a lot of focus on Lightning. So Lightning is, you know, as a payment system, really Bitcoin as a currency, right? But now the conference have evolved into something more than just Lightning focus. It's there's as Kiki said, a lot different topic. Whether it's I think education is a big piece. You know, we need to educate more people about what is Bitcoin. To get more adoption in El Salvador. So there's a lot of that, but there is also, yeah, other topics. Something I'm very excited, as Kiki said already, is that the venue will be, it's a short drive from San Salvador, maybe 10-15 minutes, but it's in the middle of nature. I think it will be a great, people will have a great time in this venue. I'm very excited for it.
Love it. Love it. Okay, hold on. Wow, literally every technical issue I can think of is happening today, but we're still making the show go on. Okay, let's talk about, I know some of the satellite events, you know, you guys are going to have a farmer's market. I know now you're going to have a kids section. So let's talk about the satellite events. Let's talk about it being a family-friendly event. So it's not just about the Bitcoiners getting down there. It's about the family experiencing El Salvador and what it means to live on a Bitcoin standard.
Yeah, exactly. I think the first satellite event actually starts on the 10th, and it's a retreat. So there's a ton of retreats that are happening around the conference, different tours that are operated by Bitcoiners and are focused specifically for Bitcoiners. During the actual conference, we're going to have the Bitcoin Farmers Market do a pop-up at the conference. There's going to be a food hall, a beer garden, and then the Bitcoin Paraninos as well. Prior to adopting Bitcoin, Nicolas will be hosting BitDevs in San Salvador. There's going to be, there's already 3 or 4 parties. I'm sure 3 or 4 will probably pop up. Usually what's going to happen is after the conference happening just around San Salvador, most people are going to head down to the beach, to El Zonte, to Bitcoin Beach on the 17th. They're putting on a full day of surf and pupusa eating competitions and a party in the evening. And then you kind of have the week to chill. And then the next weekend on the 23rd, there's going to be a festival in Berlin, Usulatan, which is a little bit further away up in the mountains. But they've been hitting the ground really hard in terms of creating a circular economy from the ground up. I think they've got over 150 merchants who are accepting Bitcoin now. which is really interesting in a town of only like maybe 20,000, 25,000 people. So there is a ton to do. It's all on the website. We're getting more and more inquiries every day. Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. Let's talk about the ticket pricing real quick. So if people are thinking about it, how much do the tickets cost? Of course, our audience is mainly in the US, so they don't get the, discounted price for the El Salvadorians would. So let's talk about the ticket prices. We'll pull it up. And is there a deadline for the ticket prices, or can they basically buy a ticket all the way up until they get to the door?
Yeah, there's going to be tickets available at the door. So the general access tickets right now are $400. That will go up on this weekend on the 1st, I believe, at the end of the day on November 1st. So yeah, you've got the 2 days and 10 hours to get in at the early majority price. From there, it will bump to, I believe it's $450, and then the tickets at the door are going to be $500. We've also got the privileged access pass, which is new this year. This is going to be in a mezzanine kind of VIP area, if you will. It does include food and drink, and it's going to give you the opportunity to sit down and hang out with some of the speakers and just have an all-inclusive, if you will, experience, and a really great networking opportunity. And then, yeah, as you said, most people here are probably going to be from the States, but if you have any Salvadoran family members, because there is a lot of Salvadoran Americans, $21 for all Salvadorans and $121 for residents of El Salvador. So there's a couple of different options for you to choose from.
Love it. Absolutely incredible. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Nicolas.
Yeah.
Well,
I had one comment on the ticket price or just ticket in general is that it's since 4 years ago, we only ever accepted Bitcoin as a mean of payment for the conference. So if you want to buy a ticket, you have to buy with Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I when I heard about that, I'm like, wow, they've only accepted Bitcoin. You love to see it. Perfect circular economy. But again, I'm going to pass it over to you again, Nicolas. What are you most excited about? I know you're going to be doing the Bit Devs. Maybe you can touch on what the Bit Devs is going to be talking about, but what are you looking forward to? I know you guys are putting it on, so it's like your baby, and you know, it's hard to pick what you're most excited about. But Nicolas, maybe let's talk about the Bit Devs. What can people expect down there?
Yeah, so BitDev is a Socratic seminar type of meetup where it's oriented for technical folks who want to know more about the protocol, about the development, what's happening at whether it's the Bitcoin core level or Lightning typically, but sometimes it can vary. We have talked recently more about Arc, for instance. Yeah, for everyone that want to know more about what's happening in really at the Bitcoin core level. The Socratic seminar, I mean, everybody that is curious is welcome. I typically guide the conversation, but then the conversation is best with like people just when they're working on something is working on a Lightning topic, like we will talk about that. They will respond. It's I was actually yesterday in San Francisco. There was a BitDev here that was pretty fantastic. I think there will be more than 50 people. Like there is a crew from Germany that is coming that is fairly significant. So I'm quite excited about that. Yeah, so for anyone who is interested for like technical development, please come to the BitDev. It's on the 13th, so 2 days before the conference.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, we're going to be down there. It's going to be, I think, just Nico, myself, Jacob will be down. Actually, I think even Soph, we'll see the whole Nico family down there. I think we're going to be down there the 10th. We'll be there for the whole week. I'm super excited to get back down there. And of course, guys, we are going to be streaming the entire conference live on YouTube. So, if for whatever reason you can't make it down there, you will be able to get the content live here on our YouTube. We're going to do an all-day stream. We're going to get a bunch of cool guests come on, do little, 5-10 minute chats with us. Make sure that we give you guys a good experience on the YouTube stream. We got big Murph in the house. So the video, everything's going to be top notch for you guys. We're really excited to put on the production for the live stream on the Adopting Bitcoin. We're going to get down there. It's going to be super, super fun. Anyways, we are getting to the end of the show, but I do want to give you guys last couple comments. So Kiki, last couple words, maybe do one last shill. What's, give the people some FOMO, make sure they get excited to get down there. So Kiki, the floor is yours. Last 2 sets on Adopting Bitcoin, maybe, talk about Bitcoin life, whatever you want. This is your last final plug. What do you want to leave with the audience?
I would put it this way. The first time that I went to Adopting Bitcoin in 2022, I went not really sure what to expect. I'm a young female. I'm not super technical. I thought I was going to be totally out of my league and my situation. And now here I am as one of the organizers. And part of the reason that that's happened is because I got to meet so many incredible people that first time that I went, and I was able to maintain those relationships. And so come for the speakers, come for the programming, come for all of the like the bread and butter of the conference, but stay for the people, stay for the relationships, stay for that difference between operating your Bitcoin life in cyberspace and operating it in meat space, and come with an open mind and an open heart. And it's the best thing in the world. And this year I think is really going to be something special.
Love it. Couldn't agree more. That's definitely one of my favorite things about going to the conferences. Not only do they feel like family reunions, because it's only, a couple times a year that I can see all of my Bitcoin friends, but now we're going down to El Salvador. We were there for the halving party. Now we're there for Adopting Bitcoin. Actually, one personal question, because I still don't know what the weather's going to be like. So what's the weather going to be like down there during the Adopting Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because of the location and the elevation of the venue that we're going to be in, don't expect it to be crazy hot. It's going to be very temperate. I would say like jeans and a t-shirt and maybe an extra layer for when the sun goes down at 5:30. But it's going to be very reasonable. You don't have to expect to be wearing board shorts or anything like that.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know, because every time I go down there, I'm wearing literally shorts and a t-shirt. I don't even want to put shoes on because it's so humid and hot. So I'll bring some pants. I'll bring pants this time. Okay, Nicolas, same question to you. What's the last message you want to leave with the audience before we wrap up today?
I was reading the comments and I love the comments. Someone said Westing is the opposite of Nicolas. That's probably maybe true. I'm a software developer by trade and still do most of software development on a daily basis. But I can say, we need more software developer also in El Salvador. So if you are watching and you're curious about El Salvador, it's a great time of the year to come. So the weather is actually, to also answer the question on the weather is best between November and March in El Salvador, so it's really a great time to come.
Love it. Okay, I'm excited because I've only been down there in I think August, so I've been down there and TMI, but I'm always sweating profusely down there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm melting. I'm absolutely melting. But anyways, guys, we can't wait to get down there to handle the production. We love putting on the live stream for the conference. And, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a great show for you guys. We've already kind of worked out some of the kinks there. We're going to bring as many guests as possible so that we can get some quick rapid fire interviews with all the big names in Bitcoin. So again, guys, make it down to Adopting Bitcoin in El Salvador. Get your tickets today. But hey, if you can't, for whatever reason, family reasons, etc., we will be live streaming it for you guys. So at least you get kind of a feel. You'll get part of the feel. The real feel is being down there and meeting everyone and experiencing the vibe in person. That's what it's all about. But again, Kiki, Nicolas, thank you so much for coming on today. Again, apologize for all of the weird, AV issues that we've had today, but we still were able to maintain and put on a good show. This one will be one of the legendary episodes that we can laugh about when we're down there and Adopting Bitcoin hanging out. But again, really appreciate you. Much love, and thank you so much for coming on. Let me pull you behind the scenes and hang out for about a minute while we wrap up. Okay. All right. Rustin, what a day. What a day.
Dude, we fucking made it, right? Hey, look at down in the chat. Somebody said it. Andrea G. She got me thinking of our boy ODB. Opti, better get up and be somebody, right? And Bitcoin helps you do that. That's what we're here for.
Let's
Just to
go.
maximize ourselves. Go to the freaking moon. There was another guy, Zath, metal fan. I wanted to show him this. Yes, he'll understand. And yes, that is Clown's autograph. He writes like a highly vanguarded person. But yes, guys, super awesome. Get down to El Salvador. It's going to be awesome. Opti's going to be sweating. And you can buy corn everywhere. You can buy pupusas with
I'm
your
gonna be
corn.
eating pupusas. Super excited for the pupusas. But Rustin, while we're here, let's plug the Simply Originals. We got one today, right? You know, what can the people expect for later? Let's do one last plug, guys. If you love our highly regarded, off the cuff, high energy, content creator, aka Rustin Peace now, ahead of propaganda here at Simply Bitcoin. Make sure you check out his show. And we let the people know that when should they expect the originals, and maybe sneak peek what you got in the works for tonight.
Awesome. So you guys can get those between 221 to 321, and that'll be me on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Dante on Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, you got 6 days of OG content coming. Today's, people they think they're bullish, Opti. And I've always thought anything you can do bullish, we can do bullisher.
Oh, wow. Now Rustin's camera.
All right. Am I stuck?
All right. That's enough of today. Okay. All right, boys and girls. First of all, I want to say a big thank you, and I love you guys, to everyone in the chat that have been riding through today's episode. Hey, man, sometimes things are out of our control. Of course, it happens when I'm hosting the show. Everything literally goes horrible on today's show, but we still got you. Hopefully, the information, I will have to check, on the back end. Hopefully, my audio. I was literally using a hotspot all day until my electricity came back on in my apartment. So, what a day. Absolutely. It's been a rough day. I'm not going to lie. It's been a rough day, but we continued the show for you guys. So, we love you. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for bearing with us. Obviously, the show goes on, and we're going to give you a show no matter what. I am your host today, Opti, usually the co-host. Nico will be back tomorrow. We'll be back to our normally scheduled programming here at Simply Bitcoin. Of course, we go live Monday through Friday at 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. Well, allegedly 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. It's usually about 5-10 minutes late, just cause. I'm not even going to make an excuse, just cause. On that note, guys, of course, comment in the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video. Help us get pushed in the algos, because, hey, I don't know if you noticed this week, guys, but YouTube at times, our overlords don't like everything we're saying here. So I'm doing my best not to get nuked on today's show. But we love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Get outside, touch some grass, get a workout in, call your loved ones. This is the way. Make sure you are stacking sats. This is how you win. And look, guys, it looks like we might be finally breaking out of that 73K range. So we'll see what happens. But we'll be here as your guides through the separation of money and state. On that note, what a day. We are out of here. Peace out.
By bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.